And real talk, I can't do these two. Not this morning.
Deaf.
I call and say, hey, I can't find my keys. I'm going to get there at 7 or 7:05, depending on the flow of traffic. I want to thank the Milwaukee Police Department for not being in my path. Not that I was speeding. I just want to say thank you, though.
Of course you weren't.
No need to go back and review cameras. I just want to say thank you. But I get here. I'm here at 4 minutes till 7.
Mm-hmm.
And literally I'm in the seat by 3 minutes to 7.
Mm-hmm.
Why was we late? Debo.
Jermaine.
And then they arguing because Jermaine won't put his hearing aid on high.
They were whispering to Karen on.
And Debo thinking he doing the after hours show. And then Clark Kent in the back just howling out, who you with? For no reason.
The T-Rex going on.
It's like, can we get some professionalism up in this camp?
Cooking.
Oh, really? That's what we're doing?
Did he yell out cookies?
No, I did not. I did not. He was like, clear.
He do yell clear like a madman, don't he?
Hey,
He wants you to know.
Shell, one time I yelled clear. Tebow was like this. I said clear. He said cooking.
He lied. He lied. He lied on me.
He was asleep. You woke him up. Cookies.
He
Why would you
lied.
yell out cookies? See? Tell it on himself. Why would you yell out cookies,
I
man?
didn't. He wouldn't swear to that.
I believe
He
it.
would not swear to that.
Man.
Oh,
I
man.
believe it.
Oh man, I was
I
crying.
believe it.
He's a man of the cloth. He wouldn't swear to that.
He
Trust
yelled
me.
out cookies. I believe
Now,
that.
what cloth? I don't know. But
I was like,
I
clear. Cookies.
believe it.
not true. Not true at all.
I hear Clark. I hear him. And he did. He yelled that out. All right.
Happiness
So-
Donut said, finally.
You know what? Hey, bro.
Oh, man.
Happiness, I'm with you.
Oh, man.
We're going to just roll on into the show. I'm not
Yeah.
saying good morning to either one of them
Yeah.
other than to say deuces.
Oh, man.
You ever walk in your office and that's what you do?
Hey, keep
Yeah,
it moving.
keep it moving. No water cooler conversation. Straight to the desk.
Oh,
All right. Let me get at it. First of all, for all the teachers that are listening this morning, as you are, some of you are already in your classrooms, greeting babies, getting ready to come through the door. Others of you have a late start, so you may not, be even at school yet. For those of you that are doing an effective job, particularly like in U.S. history, social studies, of educating your children, I just want to say thank you so much. And to the students, please pay attention in class. I know that you don't think you're going to use some of this stuff. I was the same way. I was like, I will never use trigonometry in my life. Calculus is something that I'm positive I will never use. I was wrong. In fact, calculus is a part of our daily life, quite frankly. And, I can talk about that later, but it is. And the reason why I'm saying all this is because I don't want you all to say stuff that just lets people know how dumb you are. So I don't know, and I don't want to do this. It's not going to sound right. Understand that it does not apply to 90% of the brothers, but it's about a 10% margin of brothers that's working my nerves. Former NFL football player Eric Dickerson, who evidently is a Republican, conservative, he has decided to weigh in on Bad Bunny performing at the Super Bowl. And Eric Dickerson, Hall of Fame running back, who I have rooted for when I used to watch football, Eric Dickerson, said about the performer who goes by the name Bad Bunny, but whose real name is Benito Antonio Martinez Ocasio. That's his name. Benito Antonio Martinez Ocasio. In an interview on TMZ, Eric Dickerson expressed that he did not appreciate that Bad Bunny was going to be performing at the Super Bowl because he felt like Bad Bunny had taken a stance on America's current political climate that he didn't feel was patriotic, and that he should not headline an American sporting event. That's what Eric Dickerson said. So he goes on to say, quote, "I'm from the U.S." This is Eric Dickerson talking. "I love my country. And if you don't like the United States, get your blank out of here and don't come over here." This is what he's saying on TMZ, talking real strong. If Bad Bunny says something about the U.S., don't come here and perform. Don't come here. Stay in your country. Y'all, does anybody know where Bad Bunny is from?
Puerto Rico, and it's part of the U.S.
So they, politely told dummy Eric Dickerson that Bad Bunny was from Puerto Rico and it's a U.S. territory. What did he do? He doubled down. He made a distinction between U.S. territories and mainland states. To Dickerson, the distinction matters regardless of citizenship. You're an idiot. You're an idiot. You're an idiot. And you clearly missed something while you were in school. That's why all the people in Puerto Rico, many of whom look like folks sitting in this radio station, when it was time for relief after a disaster and what was going on with those people, we at this radio station took donations in terms of supplies to be able to get over to folks in Puerto Rico. Because the president, while he was throwing rolls of paper towels at people, was lagging on getting people the critical assistance that they needed. But these are U.S. citizens. It is a part of the United States. And to go on a nationally televised show and show your complete and total ignorance. And he actually tried to cover it up by saying, I know Puerto Rico is a part of the U.S., but it's not the U.S. That's the way I look at it. That's the way I feel. Negro, who are you? Who put you in office? Who had you design the U.S. territory maps? Who consulted you? So let me be clear too, as you talk about being an American and you get to have your feelings, but Bad Bunny can't have his. See, people don't see their own BS. So you get to have your feelings. You get to decide what you like and don't like. You get to decide that you are the patriot. But another individual who is a member of this country cannot have the same freedoms. This is inherently what's wrong with a lot of people that ride with the conservative party. This is inherently what's wrong with a lot of people that ride with the conservative party. That your view, that you are the centerpiece of everything and we all revolve in your orbit. And if we don't meet your criteria, your specifications, we don't live up to your ideals, then there's something wrong with everybody else. You ignorant Black Negro who has been mistreated at every turn in terms of a people in this country. and you look at another brown person and tell this person how they supposed to feel about this country. If you understood your history, you would have a few reservations about the country we live in. Don't mean you'd hate it. Don't mean you wouldn't love it, but you'd appreciate that it's not perfect. If you understood your history and maybe had not been banged upside the head while you was running up and down a football field. I literally could not get over the ignorance of this individual. And when people try to gently bring you along, you double down on stupid. So one of the things I just don't understand is how people who profess to love this country don't understand in ideal what this country was built on. Because it's been the ideals of this country that allowed us to go into court and get and secure rights as Black people. Like, I wish somebody would explain to Eric Dickerson that while he's all patriotic and love this country, up until 1965, Black folks couldn't even vote in this country without passing the damn literacy test or counting the jelly beans in a jar or reciting the preamble to the Constitution, you idiot. While you professing your love for this country, this and the love of the game, that's the same game that wouldn't figure out a way in the world for a Black man to be a head coach forever. You definitely couldn't be a quarterback forever. Yeah, you could be a running back all day, boy, but you could not be the quarterback. Not smart enough. All you could do is catch and run. For the man who loves the game so hard, where the hell was you when Colin Kaepernick took a knee to talk about Black lives and then ends up being blackballed from the league? But this the league you love so much, you idiot. See, this is where me and brothers, this is where we have problems. This is where we have problems. As we have fought to have Black men be head coaches, fought to have Black men be quarterbacks, fought to have Black men and women in the front office, fought to have Black referees, Jesus. We weren't even deemed smart enough to even be a referee on the field. It is still a big deal when you see an all-Black referee squad. But Eric Dickerson got his own vision of America that clearly does not involve reality for Black people, not even in the NFL. Let me go to the phone line. Hey, caller, what's happening?
Good morning, Michelle. This is Angela.
Hey, Angela, good morning.
I just kind of say good morning to you all.
Good. How you doing? How's things going?
It's going better. It's going a lot better.
Good, good. I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah. So good morning, Mr. Rylock. Good morning, Mr. Devo, and everybody in the station. Love you all. Have a blessed day.
Good morning.
All right, Angela. So, I mean, I just have to. I like, y'all, at least know what you're talking about when you open your mouth. So, children, please pay attention in school, because you never know when you're going to need some of this stuff that these teachers are trying to give you. Some of these things that people are trying to impart to you. Please, please, please know what you're talking about. I got to take a break, but when I come back, now here's the other side. The 90% of brothers that I adore and I rock with. If you have not seen the video of Hakeem Jeffries, in which Bed-Stuy showed up in the U.S. Capitol when he was accosted and somebody tried to clown him while the cameras were rolling For everybody who was like, Hakeem Jeffries a little too soft for me. I can't tell he from the East. He just let these people walk on. I'm gonna see if I can get the audio, but let me work on it. But you other 10%, man, y'all working my nerves. I feel that you are not a U.S. citizen. That's how I feel, and we're supposed to validate your feelings. But this man, who is a U.S. citizen as well, we can't validate his feelings. But yours must be validated. Let me go to a break. I'll be right back. Welcome back to the show. So, before we went to break, I was taking a second to talk about. Wait, before I even do that, let me stop. Let me stop. Um, I just had a brother stop by the studio by the name of David, who had messengered me on Facebook to tell me that he was traveling and that he had something for me. And when he got back to town, he was going to bring it by the station. And um, I said, okay, bro, no problem. So he just left the station this morning and he brought me an incredible uh, picture that has Barack Obama facing Martin Luther King. And in the foreground, no, in the background, there is, it looks like, a house from the South, a older black woman, young kids, and so like Big Mama. And then in between Barack and Martin, Dr. King looking at each other, there is a little black boy looking head on, looking into the future. And it's a pencil etching. When I tell you this is one of the coolest things I've ever received, oh my God. I will be on my way to Greenwood Gallery and Framing, Greenwood Park Gallery and Framing to get this framed. This is absolutely beautiful. And I want to say thank you to David. No, yeah, thank you to David so much. Um, Wait, he said his name was David, but this also David Anderson, a brother that passed away December 12th, 2024. The Life and Legacy. I'm gonna have to read this so I can make sure I understand everything that's on this card. But okay, I mean, you all, Debo, did you just show a picture on Facebook? And it's in plastic, y'all, so it might be a little blurry, but this is absolute. Like between me and Lakeisha, the house is an art gallery. She loves art. I have black art. It's black art all in the bathroom. And we are real fortunate and blessed. Most of, well, I shouldn't say most, all of our art is signed. And it's funny uh that we both appreciate art in the way that we do. And I'm overwhelmed by that gesture. Thank you so much, bro. I appreciate you. And then y'all know he sealed the deal because he brought 5 boxes of baked beans.
You short one, David. It's supposed to be 6.
he sealed the deal. Somebody just said, I've gone there and purchased some items from Greenwood Park Art Gallery. Excellent. That's what just got said. So, woo! See, that's the 90%. That's the 90% that I ride with. Speaking of the 90, before we went to break, I mentioned my brother Hakeem Jeffries. And, Hakeem Jeffries was born in New York City. He is from the boroughs of Brooklyn. He was raised in Crown Heights, and you say Bed-Stuy when you talk about this brother. He is the minority leader. And, Nancy Pelosi steps down. He's elected to take her spot. And people have been like, Hakeem a little soft. He's a noob. He's a Kappa. His brother Hassan Jeffries has spoken at the NAACP Freedom Fund. We had him up at the state capitol for Black Advocacy Day. He's been on this program, called into this show. And I texted Hassan last night, and I was like, where my text at Hassan? I texted Hassan last night. I said, Bed-Stuy in this piece. He walked up on his blank. Now, let me tell y'all what I'm talking about. There was a confrontation not initiated by Hakeem Jeffries. After a press conference, a Republican um, lawmaker named Mike Lawler, Representative Mike Lawler, who is from New York, but he's Republican. He is going to big boy Hakeem Jeffries in front of the media and demand that Jeffries sign onto a bill that would extend Affordable Care Act subsidies for 1 year. Okay? So, Jermaine, do we have a clip? Can we play that?
We got a 1-year extension. Why don't we sign on right now?
Let me ask you a question. Did
Why don't we sign
you
on
get
right
permission
now?
from your boss?
Why don't we sign on right now?
Did your boss, Donald
You
Trump?
can easily extend the ACA
Did your
right
boss,
now.
Donald Trump,
He's
give
not
you
my
permission?
boss.
Yes, he is.
No, he's not. And by the way,
So let me ask you a
why
question.
did you vote to
Let me
shut
ask
the
you a
government
question.
down?
You
Why
know,
did you vote to shut it
Let me
down?
ask you a question.
For years, you always lectured about how we need to keep the government open.
You're making a show of this to
No,
make
it's
yourself
sad.
relevant.
It's sad. You could easily sign on to
You're
this.
embarrassing
You
yourself
could
right
sign
now.
on to this. The only
You're
embarrassment
chasing
here is
clout.
you.
You're an
You
embarrassment.
could sign on to the bill.
Let me ask you a question.
You have 4 Democrats on here.
Let me
Why
ask you a
won't you
question.
sign on
Let me ask
to
you a
it?
question.
It's a clean
Let me ask
extension
you a
for 1
question.
year.
You voted for the one big
Clean
ugly bill,
extension.
correct?
I voted for a
The
tax cut
largest-
bill that gave the
the
largest
largest
tax cut
the
to
largest-
Americans in history,
the
including, by
largest-
the way, the average New Yorker getting a $4,000 tax cut. Are you against that?
You're
Do
embarrassing
you want
yourself
to
right now.
cut the standard deduction in
The
half? Is that
largest
what you
cut
wanted
to
to do?
Medicaid in
No, we
American
voted
history.
out
You voted
waste,
for that.
fraud, and abuse, by the
You
way.
voted
Tom DiNapoli, the
for a
Democratic
permanent-
controller of New
Let me
York,
ask you a question.
pointed out that $1.2 billion were wasted.
Listen, you're not gonna talk. You're not gonna talk to me.
Wasted
You're not
on
gonna talk to me
fraud
and talk
and
over
non-New
me
York residents
because you don't
getting
want to
paid.
hear what I have to say.
Oh, I'm
So
listening.
why don't
Go
you
ahead.
just keep your mouth shut?
Oh,
Because you
is
showed
that
up.
the way to
You
talk?
showed up. You showed up.
Yeah.
And so you voted for this one
I
big
signed
ugly
on
bill.
to this. You can extend it
A
right now.
permanent extension of massive tax breaks for your billionaire donors.
So 90% of
So
Americans,
they can get a permanent extension.
90% of
but
Americans
working
take the
class
standard
Americans
deduction.
can't? Is that right?
90% of Americans take the standard deduction,
Is that right?
If you had your way, the standard deduction would have been cut in half. That
No
would have been a
one-
massive tax increase
no
on
one-
Americans all across the country.
You're
You support
here,
that?
unfortunately,
You're
to
against
do
lifting the cap on
bidding
salt?
of your billionaire
You're-
donors.
you're- the
That's
billionaire
unfortunate.
donors lifting the
That's
cap on
correct.
salt. We put a
Okay.
income cap in place.
Why are you here right
Yeah.
now?
So I'm not going to play it in its entirety, but if you have not seen the clip, and I thank Debo for putting it up on the screen, you got to see it. Because first of all, the complete lack of respect that this legislator is showing for the minority leader in the House of Representatives. Like, he did it because the press was out there trying to make a little name for himself. And you thought, I'm going to big boy the black dude. I'm going to embarrass him. I'm making demands.
Do something you'll regret.
Exactly. And he was loud talking to Hakeem, Minority Leader Jeffries. He was loud. There is a moment when Hakeem when he tells him, basically what you not gonna do is disrespect me and talk over me. Hakeem step into him. He leans in. And Hakeem's hand is in his pocket. But the look on his face was like, keep on, and we're going to have a problem on camera. And when I tell you, even though dude kept trying to persevere, you could hear his tone drop. You could hear him slow down in terms of that rapid fire. I'm going to bulldoze you and try to, overtalk you. You could tell that man understood Hakeem Jeffries was going to knock the brakes off him if he had, you could tell that Bed-Stuy showed up and was not playing with Lawler. You could tell. And when I tell you, and he told him to shut up, I was like, okay, all right. Understand this. Republicans are playing games. They are playing games. Do you understand me? You're going to get a Medicare extension for 1 year. Like, these people have had decades to figure out healthcare. They have not shown a serious interest in trying to make sure that you and I, the people listening to this station all over this country, could go to the doctor and not be in fear of going into bankruptcy, not being scared to death of a $400 to $500, $600 ambulance ride. They have had every opportunity to do something responsible on healthcare. Donald Trump lied through his entire 4 years in that first term on Tuesday. It's a bill coming on Tuesday. It's going to be beautiful. It's going to be amazing. It's a bill coming on Tuesday. Tuesday never came. We done had a whole other president, and now we back to this clown again. And instead of worrying about health care, he's sending ICE agents and federal troops, or National Guard members all over the country, creating havoc and disruption. And then refusing for the longest time to even meet with the Democratic leaders in Congress. So I just need people to understand that as we are now in what? 9th day of the shutdown, like all of this is grandstanding, and the Republicans know it. I listened as they've said 6 months ago, y'all signed the bill to keep the government open and extended, because that was 6 months ago. The deadline wasn't on people's backs. November 1 is around the corner. December 31st is right here. We're less than 60 days out now from this stuff going into effect and these subsidies increasing. So now it's put up or shut up time. So no, don't talk to me about 6 months ago, because 6 months ago was very different than being 60 days away from people not being able to afford their healthcare premiums and having to let their insurance go. And no matter what your personal medical situation is, you may not be covered. So I just say, hey, this is the fight that people are looking for from Democrats. This is the fight. Dude straight up said, shut up. What you gonna do is shut up. I was like, oh. So let me move past that for a second. But dude did it to show out and clown him in front of the press. And the person who got clowned was him. So remember that. Somebody said, any comments on Marjorie Taylor Greene breaking with the Republicans regarding health care? Marjorie Taylor Greene said herself that her 2 grown children stand to have told her that their premiums are going to double. She's heard what other folks have had to say, from her district. So now I don't really have no thoughts, because Marjorie Taylor Greene is raggedy and racist as the day is long. I detest that woman. She is vulgar and ignorant. And so the fact that she weighs in on something that kind of makes sense means nothing to me. And right now she's on the outs with most of the Republicans and the White House. She does not carry the weight and the significance that she did, when she was acting a fool and jumping up and down and hollering at events and, doing her best to kiss Donald Trump's behind. She's not the darling, if you will, of the Republican Party in the way that she had been. So yeah, but she said she got a personal stake in this. Her children are using the Affordable Care Act. Her children. And then, of course, while they won't go on camera, it's a ton of Republicans who have health coverage and are able to go to the doctor because of the Affordable Care Act or Obamacare. Let me go to the phone line. Hey, caller, what's happening? Hello?
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, I was going to comment when you were talking about the shutdown.
Okay.
His first term, we had a 35-day shutdown. I guess people forgot about that when they voted for him again.
Absolutely.
Yes. So it doesn't bother him that we have a government shutdown. And like you said, he's been trying to get rid of the Affordable Care Act, which they keep calling Obamacare. He's been trying to get rid of that his whole first term, and he failed. So now he's just getting very aggressive and really doesn't care if we can't go to the doctor or whatever. I had a friend who actually had an aneurysm, and she refused to call an ambulance. She tried to drive herself, and she ended up having an accident
Oh my goodness.
because she said, I can't afford that ambulance ride. And I just,
We shouldn't be
so,
making those kinds of choices. We should not have
no,
to
we
make those
should
kind of
not.
decisions. Not
And
in this country. One of the wealthiest
that's
countries
right.
in the world. We shouldn't have to do that.
And that's the whole thing. My uncle has traveled every continent on this earth but Antarctica. When my aunt got sick, I can't remember where it was. I can't remember if it was in New Zealand or if it was over in Europe. But when she got sick, of course, my uncle took her to the hospital and got his wallet out, and they looked at him like he was crazy, and they said, no, health care is free in this country.
Mm.
And I said, and you were traveling? You didn't even live there? And he said, yeah. He said, and he was ready to pay whatever. But it's a shame that it's not only not free in this country, but they're trying to take it away totally.
All right.
So,
Yes, ma'am. Thank you for that. And thank you for those
mhm,
examples. It brings it home for us.
yes,
All right. Now you have a good day.
you too.
Got another caller. Let's get them in. Hey, caller, what's happening?
Good morning.
What's happening, Dr. Ward? How you doing?
This is the Reverend Dr. Andrew Ward. A couple of points I want to make on what you have said already today.
Yes, sir.
Dr. The running back Dickerson,
Yes, sir.
the Bible says, and Dr. Rideout can confirm this, forgive him for he knoweth not what he does. And Hakeem Jeffries, you failed to point out. He had his finger in the mofo's face. And
my bad.
Y'all have a good one.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you. Let me do this. And I got a guest coming in at 8:00. So I'm moving through some of this stuff. But let me just say this. I have raised concerns about what the Trump administration has been doing in terms of literally executing people that they say are drug cartels in international waters. Venezuelans, I think most often is what these people have been identified as, and that they are being, judge, jury, and executioner in relationship to saying these people are drug dealers and they're bringing in drugs into America, or the drugs that are in these boats that they're on are coming into America and killing Americans. Let me be clear. We don't execute people in America for drugs. So why would we do it in international waters? Let that sit for a second. You could have run some of the biggest drug cartels in the world right here in this country and get convicted. Death is not in the sentencing guidelines. It's not an option. You don't get to, employ that. We don't do that. So why is the president of the United States in international waters? Oh, there's a boat. We believe they cartel. We believe they drug smugglers. Shoot them and kill them all. We have done that 4 times now. And there was supposed to be a vote to stop Donald Trump from these lethal strikes against these boats and these suspected drug dealers. A bipartisan measure in the U.S. Senate was put forward on yesterday, and we couldn't get this done. We couldn't get this done. In the House, they don't even want to talk about it. We couldn't get this done. But do you understand that they have killed at least 21 people in this manner? The first strike on September 2nd, they killed 11 people. 11 people. I don't know that everybody on that boat was a drug dealer. Somebody might have just been the captain of the boat, and I don't know what y'all moving. I might just be a young kid on the boat working to make a few extra dollars, but I'm not a drug dealer. The second strike was 13 days later, on September 15th. They killed 3 people. A third strike, 4 days later, they killed 3 people. The most recent strike happened 6 days ago. They killed 4 people. So on September 2nd, September 15th, September 19th, and October 3rd, Donald Trump decided that 21 people should be put to death for selling or moving drugs by himself. And Congress has not seen fit to do something about this. You have a right to a trial, to be judged by your peers in this country. Now, certainly we know that the rules change when we are in different situations, and there are times when you may have to execute somebody, as we saw with Osama bin Laden after the attacks in terms of 9/11. There have been decisions made by U.S. presidents to kill people. But those calls have come when these people themselves have been responsible for death and murder. I'm sorry, that's the same thing. But for murdering people, death, major infractions involving loss of life. And just him saying that a drug dealer is a threat to America, because this is the other part of this equation. This is the other part. The hypocrisy of this damn country. While Eric Dickerson is professing his love. This country, this government flooded illegal drugs into the Black community to finance wars. This country, Eric Dickerson, literally brought in narcotics because they were looking for funding sources, funding streams to be able to finance some wars off the books. And they said, who can we get to consume and buy drugs? And we don't get no damn if they die. And if it tear up their community. Oh, the Black people. And that's exactly what they did. So our own government, in some form and capacity, were drug dealers. Our own government. And now we sit in high holy judgment. And we are letting this man summarily execute people on his own. No breaks, nobody questioning, no review. Who are these 21 people that have been killed? Did we go back, produce the information, the dossier that says this was Javier Escobar, and we seized 31 kilos? I mean, where is the information, Jesus? And you got these silly people that are allowing this to happen. So I just want y'all to think about that. Donald Trump is also a freaking murderer. 21 people on suspicion, and I'm going to even say maybe validation, that these people were smuggling drugs, decided the best way to deal with them was to kill them. While he sit up and drink Pepsi and eat Cheetos, you like, oh yeah, kill him. Blow that, yeah. Board that ship. Kill everybody on board. 11 people. Yeah, kill them all. Kill them all. Y'all think about that. All right. Oh, got a phone call? Let me get them in. Hey, caller, what's happening?
And eat McDonald's.
Yes.
Why? But
yes.
Michelle,
Yes,
great
ma'am.
interview with Cleopatra yesterday.
Oh, thank you.
Do you think that you can score an interview with Mayor Brandon Johnson?
You know what? I can.
We're like neighbors.
I can.
That'd be so awesome.
He is actually a friend of Dr. Lakeisha Myers, and we've called on Brandon before to help us out in a pinch and some other things we were doing. And Mayor Johnson, I should say. I just say Brandon because we got our own Mayor Johnson.
Mayor Johnson.
But no, we can get the mayor on the air. So I'll make sure that, in fact, because I'm getting ready to play a clip of his right now. So yes, ma'am, we can reach out and get an interview.
My quick question before you left for the weekend was, so we decided to travel for homecoming.
Okay.
And we're side-eyeing all these Ryder trucks, U-Haul trucks because of these ICE agents. Can we, if they pulled up on us at a Love's gas station, what can we do, Michelle? Because they're not even...
Nothing.
No, but they cannot take us to a detention center.
Yes,
Nobody know where we at.
Yes, they can.
And hold us for whatever time
yes,
frame.
They can.
Do those people even have access to a lawyer? They're not even
right
putting
away.
out a website where we can go Google names or anything. It's like, I don't think people are realizing how much power these ICE agents have. And it could be our neighborhood next. I don't understand what are our...
And the crazy part is you don't even know that everybody is an ICE agent. Because the way they have them dressed, some of them are in plain clothes, some of them got on military fatigues. You know, their faces are covered.
And then they pop out on you, Michelle. They just pop out on you. They're not even detectives or undercover cops. They're just regular plain Jane.
Just regular white boys off the block.
That if we're these people that I saw in the video were just going in to have their morning cup of coffee, they come out and then all these plain clothes people just takes them, throw them in these rental trucks, rental cars, and they just disappear into the wind. And we as Americans aren't raising enough sand about that. That's why it'd be good to hear what Brandon Johnson, or some strategies. Again, if we're trying to travel down south or anywhere, you know, it's about to be the end of the year, and this happens to just a regular U.S. citizen. What are we to do?
All right, thank you.
Just hope and pray.
No, you have raised valid points, and I will definitely get that interview scheduled. Thank you for pushing that. I mean, it was on the back of my mind. I just know he got a whole lot going on right now and being pulled everywhere. So thank you, caller. We'll be on that. Jay, do we have that clip of Brandon, of the Mayor Johnson? Let's go with that, please. And I just want to say that today they're saying that they're anticipating 200 to 500 now National Guard members being deployed into Chicago. All right, let's go.
Happening now, members of the Texas National Guard are at a military facility right near Chicago for legal and crowd control training. That's according to a law enforcement source. The city of Chicago and state of Illinois are suing the Trump administration over its federalization of Guard troops. City and state officials consider it unlawful. Joining us now to discuss this further is Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson. So, Mayor, we're going to get to the National Guard in just a minute. But first, President Trump this morning called for you, Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker, to be jailed for, quote, failing to protect ICE officers. What is your response?
Well, you know, first of all, this president is unstable, unhinged, a double-minded individual that, quite frankly, is a threat to our democracy. And it's certainly not the first time that Donald Trump has called for the arresting of a black man unjustly. I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to stay firm as the mayor of this amazing city, which was voted 9 years in a row the best big city in America, and we're going to defend all of Chicago.
Yeah, and to be clear, he's also calling for the governor, J.B. Pritzker, to be jailed as well. What are you hearing when it comes to the Texas National Guard troops, when they'll actually be deployed into the city, what they're actually going to be doing there?
Well, there's been no communications with my administration and the federal government. What we do know is that this president is working outside the bounds of the Constitution, and that there are National Guard from the state of Texas that are being quote unquote trained just outside of the city of Chicago. And keep in mind, these individuals do not have policing powers. They do not have arresting powers. So the judge right now in Illinois is looking at what exactly is the mission of the National Guard from the state of Texas. We know this is illegal, unconstitutional. That's already been proven in the courts in Oregon, and we fully expect the same ruling to take place here in the state of Illinois.
And the White House says that they're doing what they're allowed to do under Title X, the law. They say that these operations are designed to protect federal facilities and officers. And there have been some protesters around Chicago that have blocked access to the ICE facility in Broadview. Does that prove that this mobilization is needed?
No, in fact, this president is working to look, from the very beginning, we always knew that sending in the federal agents was a pretext to the National Guard. His ultimate goal is to send the military into American cities, which there aren't people who are signing up to serve and protect our democracy abroad to be then unleashed on the cities that are actually raising them. What we have seen is a full escalation from these federal agents. A man was shot and killed. Another person was shot by federal agents. Just this past weekend, they unleashed tear gas on my local police department. Over 24 police officers were subject to this type of violent escalation. The people in Chicago are very clear about our fundamental right to protest. That is a fundamental right for our democracy, and that's what we're going to continue to protect.
Right. Now, the woman that was shot, DHS has said they did that for defensive reasons. She was car ramming, but there are certainly questions surrounding that still. But when it comes to what I had mentioned, for example, protesters blocking access to federal buildings, what is your message to those protesters? I mean, do you support them blocking access?
What I've always said is that we have to peacefully assemble, and we do that nonviolently. That is how we have transformed this country. The city of Chicago is known for its ability to stand up and to resist peacefully. So of course, we're not condoning any acts of violence, but that also includes that the federal government cannot unleash tear gas and shoot pepper balls at journalists for just showing up to do their job and to cover the news. This president has intentionally worked to escalate violence in the city of Chicago and cities across America. We're just simply defending our fundamental right to our democracy. This president has made it very clear he doesn't support this Constitution. And if Congress, which our framers designed for Congress and the Supreme Court and the courts to provide checks and balance, if Congress will not hold this president accountable, I will.
And what are you going to do?
Well, just this past week, I signed another executive order. We have 3 sweeping executive orders to make sure that the fundamental right to protest is intact. We're making sure that people know their rights, and all of our sister agencies and city departments are working in accordance with the local ordinance. And then now, public property that the city owns, ICE cannot prepare its weapons on school parking lots. ICE cannot prepare to disappear families in the parking lots of libraries. That's not what these public accommodations are for. We literally had a South Side neighborhood under siege with Black helicopters, Black Hawk helicopters, where individuals who were sleeping peacefully in their communities had masked, armed men stick long guns in their faces. This is not the type of America that my ancestors, our ancestors, fought hard to create. This is a fundamental attack on our democracy. It's not about immigration. It's not about safety. It's about authoritarianism. And we're going to push back, and we're going to defend Chicago and all American cities against this tyrant.
Okay, but let me just go to the issue, like at the Chicago apartment building overnight last week. This is according to DHS. 37 undocumented immigrants were arrested in that operation. The building was targeted because it was known to be frequented by Tren de Aragua gang members. I mean, how do you respond to people who say these sorts of efforts are making the country safer?
Look, I'm working hard every single day to build the safest, most affordable big city in America. Just this past summer, we had the fewest amount of homicides since 1965. Homicides are down, shootings are down, shooting victims are down. A lot of work to be done, but we are building a safe, affordable big city in America. But I don't know if there's anybody in America that believes that armed, masked men showing up with Black Hawk helicopters, sticking guns in the faces of Black women, zip tying Black children, putting immigrants in one van, putting Black folks in another van. This is not what built safety. What built safety is to make sure that we're doing what I've done, working with the ATF and my local law enforcement to get illegal weapons off the streets of Chicago, guns that are being trafficked from states that voted for Donald Trump. If he was serious about safety, he would not have defunded a program of $800 million that was geared towards violence prevention. He cut the ATF budget by 30%. He has defunded our education system. He has defunded our transportation system. He is firing Black women across this country. He's defunding our healthcare system. This president is absolutely out of control, and it's incumbent upon all of us. If there was ever a time for working people to unite in this country, now is that time. And the city of Chicago is going to stand firm in protecting humanity and protecting and defending our democracy.
All right, Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Jay, for pulling that clip for me. So I got to take a break, but I just want y'all to understand this. For that silly brother that called in here 2 days back, who said nobody was in zip ties, this is propaganda. It was necessary in Chicago for whatever happened. Hopefully, number one, you heard it yesterday from Cleopatra, who has a show on 1690 WVON in Chicago, who said that this happened. I've interviewed the people on my radio show who were impacted. Then you hear the mayor of the city say this happened. So on-air host Cleopatra Draper, VON says it happens. The mayor says it happens. But you got this brother calling in. Oh no, Michelle, you don't know what's going on. And it's subliminal. And the final thing I'll say on the way to break. When Donald Trump posted yesterday on his little fake social media outlet that Pritzker and Mayor Johnson should go to jail, talking about Brandon Johnson, should go to jail for failing to protect ICE officers, what the hell should happen to him for what he failed to do on January 6th? Because you failed to protect police officers in the United States Capitol. Think about that for a second. Again, the hypocrisy of these people. I got to go to break. I'll be right back. All right, family. So let me just do this real quick. Waiting on the guests to come in, but there's a story in the Journal Sentinel today that more than 3 weeks after the federal government sought offers for space for immigration enforcement staff, ICE, in Milwaukee and 18 other cities, there continues to be little information on whether a lease has been signed here in Milwaukee and what the office's purposes would be. The expansion comes as ICE begins to make use of an unprecedented infusion of funds from Congress to carry. Now think about this. So we ain't got no money for health care. We can give people $50,000 signing bonuses to go work for ICE, and they put billions of dollars into their budget. Okay, but anyway, you know what their budget is now? ICE's budget is bigger than the U.S. military's budget. ICE's budget is $30 billion. So we don't have no money for health care. We can't do Medicaid expansion. We got to cut SNAP benefits. But we got $30 billion to be able to have ICE round up anybody that speaks Spanish, looks Spanish, and black folks, if y'all there, oh well, and your children, y'all hemmed up too. Because when Mayor Johnson was talking, one of the things I thought about is, so what about the trauma of the children who heard helicopters landing on their apartment buildings, their doors being kicked in? These babies were in the bed asleep, snatched up out of their bed. You know them white boys handled them kids crazy, zip tied them, and threw them in the back of a U-Haul. Where is the counseling, United States government, for the children? Because, I mean, grown folks impacted too. Don't get me wrong. Because you realize how helpless you are. And you don't have the ability to protect your children in that moment because you can't even protect yourself. But where is the counseling for the trauma that these children, because now they don't feel safe in their space no more. And then when you finally are released from this U-Haul, you go back into your house to see your door is gone. So you got to go to bed or operate in your house. And then is the landlord responsible for putting all these doors back on? Or this $30 billion budget that ICE has? How does this work? So what they've said is that they plan to hire 10,000 more agents. And they got to have somewhere for these people to post up. On an online post, a federal government contracting website, September 16th, indicated it was accepting offers for a brief time period for furnished office spaces with about 70 desks in the area. Okay? 70 desks. So we're still waiting to see what that looks like. Milwaukee School of Engineering owns one of the buildings at 310 East Knapp Street, where the Milwaukee offices for U.S. ICE enforcement are housed. The federal government signed a year-long extension to its lease. So they right downtown. They right downtown on the east side, 310 East Knapp Street. And then they're looking for a second facility here. So it hasn't started here yet, y'all, in earnest. They've been in other parts of the state. But eventually, Milwaukee is going to be Chicago. That's why we need to be watching, listening, and paying attention. And to that last caller's point, understanding what it is we do. I'm waiting on the conversation of elected officials. Don't start trying to talk to your constituents and to the community when these individuals is busting doors down on that day. Start talking to us now. This is what you need to understand. These are your rights. This is how the police department will engage. This is what we are trying to do to protect you. Those conversations may be happening behind the scenes, but I have not heard in front of the camera how we're going to deal with this. Let me go to the phone line. Hey, caller, what's happening? Hello?
Hey, good morning, Michelle. How you doing, my sister?
I'm good. How are you this morning?
All right, all right. I've been listening to you, and just want to point out a couple of things or ask you this question. So how does the international world, the international leaders look at this country now that we've got not only a convicted felon sitting in the White House, but a murderer.
I think it depends on who you ask in the international community, because he certainly aligned himself with a lot of questionable leaders of other nations that, you know, have that same bravado, machismo, my way or the highway. I'm a ruler and y'all peasants do what I say mentality. And then there are others who are figuring out how to distance themselves from the U.S. They deal with us as much as they have to, but they are looking for new trading partners, looking for ways to begin to ease out of relationships. But because of the power that we wield, you know, they're going to be limited in what they say about us out loud because of existing relationships and dollars that's tied up and support that's necessary. So we may never fully hear what they think, but we can watch what they do.
But also, so I think about this, you know, I think it was his niece that pointed out the fact that, or somebody pointed out, the New York Times a while ago, that Trump had all of Hitler's books on his nightstand when he was growing up as a kid and a teenager, and he read them every night. And so when you look at what he's doing, you know, the old saying of how do you eat an elephant? You eat him bite by bite.
Right.
When you look at what Trump is doing with this military situation coming to our cities and stuff, it's right out of Hitler's playbook.
But
you take over control of the largest cities first. You militarize everybody. He's bringing in all these white thugs into ICE, and if he can get that insurrection thing going, he can deputize them, or however you want to call it, make them a militia, which he can do under federal law, and have all these white thugs running around our cities. And they'll be doing like they did yesterday when they did that raid on that apartment building. When somebody asked some of the agents, what about the kids? They said, we don't give a damn about these kids.
Yeah, they use that for it, quite frankly.
They said, we don't give. So all of you Trump supporters out there, you better understand, these ICE agents ain't here to protect you or anything else.
All right. Thank you, brother. I appreciate those comments. And just to understand this, to the point that the caller made, Mary Trump did talk about the fact, and it was actually in an article back in 1990. So this is before Mary Trump says anything. In 1990, a Vanity Fair article said that Donald Trump reportedly kept a book of Adolf Hitler's speeches, My New Order, in a cabinet by his bed. This report was based on a statement from his first wife, Ivana Trump, to her lawyer. So Ivana may be doing the divorce proceedings. She said that to her lawyer, and this ends up being reported in Vanity Fair in 1990. So the evidence has been in play for years about who this guy is. One other quick thing before I go to break. The ICE offices. So right now, a new ICE office is on Milwaukee's northwest side, and it appears to be nearly ready to open. Renovations have been underway for several months. At the Office Park site, the address is 11925 West Lake Park Drive. So that's over by my house. This is 119th and West Lake Park Drive, which was the subject of the protest back in January. It had been meant to replace the Knapp Street office building, which is owned by MSOE. Developers filed an occupancy permit application with the city, a step that means the building could be cleared to open ICE occupancy after a city inspection. It has not been clear whether ICE intends to operate out of both the downtown and the Northwest Side buildings at the same time. An MSOE spokesman previously said that ICE signed a one-year extension to the current downtown office lease in April 2025, as opposed to a long-term lease contract. So MSOE, while y'all renting the ICE, but okay. The office space moves as federal immigration enforcement operations become more visible across our state. Immigrant advocates called attention to arrest of 7 people on October 2nd at one house in Northeast Madison. Those arrested were construction workers, said Christine Newman Ortiz, who was over at Voices de la Frontera. on September 26th in Manitowoc. 24 people were arrested by ICE. And so they are working in the outer areas, you know, where you got migrant workers, farm workers. But I'm telling you, we're going to be looking at some Chicago type action in downtown or around Milwaukee, south side of Milwaukee, wherever they believe that the Latinos people are, and folks being asked to show their papers. Let me take a break. I'll be right back. Welcome back to the show. Let me just say I appreciate our, astute uh viewers and folks that's watching this morning. Somebody said, you're talking a whole lot about Chicago. Is that a Chicago hat you got on? It is. I am a huge fan of a brother that used to make these hats. It's called a Scony. I've been wearing these for years. It was his signature trademark, the little seams all the way up in the back. If I turn around, you can see the tag that says Scony on the back. And it was so funny. Somebody said, I'm feeling a bunch of Chicago vibes today because I know what kind of hat you got on. So, yes, you are right. I am wearing a brand. His sisters and family members kept the brand going after he passed away. And I literally ordered me some thin ones because I got the thicker ones for the wintertime. And I ordered me some thin ones. I got a cold white one that I ordered for this summer for a white fit I was wearing. Ooh, too cute. So yes, this hat is what's called a Scony out of Chicago. Let me say this real quick before I go to the phone line, talking about the ICE facilities and the ICE arrests ramping up here in Wisconsin. So when the ICE agents did the arrest in Madison, they put out this list because, they here for the gang members, right? We may have some Venezuelans up in Wisconsin doing they drug cartel foolishness. So they put out a list of who they captured. Let me tell you all about this list real quick. One person that they listed that they had arrested was already in jail. Jose Hilario Marino Portillo. Jose Hilario Marino Portillo was already being held in jail at the time of the ICE operation when they lied and put it on a piece of paper to about they grabbed him during the raids. 5 other people were listed as being caught up, and this is what they had in their records. They said convictions for identity theft, a hit and run, a disorderly conduct, a DUI, and possession of narcotic equipment, as well as a traffic offense and a failure to appear charge. The person that they said had an identity theft conviction, court records in Wisconsin and Iowa do not reflect that, and that person only had a ticket for driving without insurance in 2009. Who's not being honest? But you here to get rid of the worst of the worst. We gave y'all a $30 billion budget so you could come and mess with somebody that while, I don't know, they may be an illegal immigrant, but their crime is they was in a car without insurance. But they must have had a driver's license, so they must not be an illegal. Or they a DACA person or something. Because you had a driver's license. That's who we've given people $50,000 a year bonuses to. And just so y'all know, I was mistaken. I'm not expecting my guest today. I had the wrong day. Let me go to the phone line. Hey, caller, what's happening?
Yes, good morning, Miss Michelle Bryant.
What's happening, JT? How you doing today, sir?
I'm doing quite well. Thank you so very much for asking. And how about yourself?
Can't complain. Don't nobody care.
Don't say that. We care, Michelle. We care.
Okay.
And good morning to those outstanding gentlemen in the house this morning. Good morning, gentlemen. Well, anyway, Michelle, just want to say, the person you had called in, was that yesterday? This person called in saying he was born and raised in Chicago.
2 days ago.
2 days ago. Okay. Yes. Yeah. First of all, you know who Honey Pie that was, right? Yep. Okay. But we don't need that at all. We're gonna move it on. Let's move it on. Let's move it on. Yeah, I have this stuff. Lived in Chicago. I lived in Chicago for a year myself. One thing I do know for a fact, Chicago is going to go down with a fight. All right, they are going to fight. And you already have other people, other organizations going into Chicago now, like this idiot in Texas going to send his National Guards to Chicago, even though Chicago already have their own National Guards. But you call that a surrection. And Michelle, one thing excuse me for talking about a movie franchise on this more serious conversation that we're having, but it's just uncanny how this movie franchise, I think it started in 2018, and the movie franchise was called The Purge. And yeah, it started in 2018. They had 4 movies. The first movie was The Purge. The second movie was The Purge Anarchy. The third movie was The Purge Election Year. And the final movie was the first Purge. Now, I'm not going to be a spoiler and spoil what the movie was about, but it's uncannily familiar what's going on right now and what's yet to come. So I'm just going to leave it right there instead of going into details about the movie. But yes, I just thought it was so uncanny similar to what's going on right now, what they had with these particular movie franchises that began back in 2018. And yes, it's about, well, I can't say this much. It's about this country being up under some type of dictatorship.
Yes.
Okay, and people was allowed to go out and kill people on certain times of the year without the law being involved. So they go out and do anything they want to, kill, rob, whatever the case may be. And the first time they went out to kill somebody was black folks that lived in high rises. And then they went to Latinos, and then went to white communities. But like I said, I'm going to just leave it at that. But I just thought it was so uncanny familiar that how the movie they call The Purge franchise is, what can I say? It's what's yet to come here in America. And like you said, they got this ice place coming up here in Milwaukee, close to Milwaukee. They're trying to build up. Well, Mayor Johnson, how do you feel now since you allowed them to have their party here? That Republican convention.
I know. Okay. That's money, bro. That's money.
I know.
That's
money. I know. Who cares about?
You got to get it. That's for the love of money.
Yeah, who cares about the 2 black men that lost their life since the convention was here? But anyway, just want to throw that at you, Michelle, and thank you so very much for your wonderful show as usual. And everybody try to have a good day. And thank you, Michelle.
Thank you, JT. Appreciate the call. All right, let me say this real quick. I wanted to do a quick follow-up. So Vanessa Suarez, again, not sure if I'm saying her correct name right, the reporter that I talked about who did the stories on Milwaukee County Supervisor Marcelia Nicholson, dragged in Congresswoman Moore in a story that had nothing to do with Congresswoman Moore to talk about campaign finances, and then did a story on Priscilla Cox Jones, County Supervisor Priscilla Cox Jones, only to have within an hour of the story, 2 hours of the story posting, another story come out saying that Priscilla Cox Jones had been cleared of any wrongdoing, is back. And there is a story that came out on yesterday that is about Milwaukee County Board Supervisor Deanna Alexander. Now, this story, okay, was a little interesting. Deanna Alexander failed to file multiple mandatory campaign finance reports despite receiving warnings from local election officials. She did not file 5 reports between early 2024 and June 2025. Okay. That were tied to her county supervisor seat and her run for state assembly, which she was not successful in. So the missing reports, were all a part of this investigation, but we lead with Marcelia. We go for Priscilla. Deanna is third. For appearances, Vanessa, racially, you might want to mix up how you come for people, okay? Particularly since not filing 5 reports seems a little bit more flagrant than worrying about if somebody was using Uber rides for something nefarious. So what they've said is that she said because of her divorce, this is County Supervisor Deanna Alexander, divorce, and she couldn't get access to some of her papers, and she couldn't get into her campaign email or her website, that prohibited her from being able to file her reports. Let me be the first person to say that's all nonsense. Deanna is on some BS. Your inability to access your website has nothing to do with you being able to file your finance reports. Okay? Nothing. Because you can file what you think you know and then go back in and amend your finance report. And they point out in the article that she didn't forget to file her annual statement of economic interest. So if you know to file your annual statement of economic interest, you know that campaign finance reports are due. Do you forget to file 5? No, you don't. I am and have been a treasurer for campaigns, and I'm on the paperwork registered with the Wisconsin Election Commission. They send you notices. It's time to file. Hey, it's time to file. Hey, today is the deadline to file. Hey, it's 4 hours away from filing time. Now, that's what they do at the state. I don't know how they do it at the county, or what, if it's the same election commission that oversees them. I would think that it is to some extent, but I'm just telling you, Deanna Alexander's on some nonsense that you forgot to file 5 times. I'm not trying to hear that. They do, the reporter does say Alexander was not alone, that Supervisor Priscilla Cox Jones failed to file 3 campaign finance reports during the same time period. We know that she had, been under other scrutiny. According to this reporter, later she was cleared of any wrongdoing by the Milwaukee County District Attorney's Office, and the county clerk, George Christensen, who oversees the County Election Commission, says that the office is working with Cox Jones to ensure her reports are filed. So we back here again. So I just want to say, stop playing with people. The failure to file a statement on time can result in penalties. Candidates who violate any part of the law can be fined up to $500 per violation. And again, remember, this is about transparency, so you will know who's giving who money. All right. So I just wanted to give a follow-up to that little ditty, because we tracking these folks down. And then of course, you got to talk about they earn $31,000 annually. They saw their salaries reduced when they were considered to be part-time. And so anyway, that's that. Let me take a minute before I take this caller. I want to update folks on where we are with the arrangements for Azaria Jones. So yesterday I went over to Graceland Cemetery and made a payment that totaled $1,600 towards the gravesite, which was $3,200. Another $300 had already been paid. And so the receipt that I got, and I actually mailed copies of the receipt to people who had made some of the donations that I had their phone numbers, text messages for. And so everybody is on the same page. We had an outstanding balance, or I should say there is an outstanding balance of $1,220 to be able to now have completely taken care of Azaria Jones in terms of funeral cost and the burial cost. I got a text message last night from one of our listeners who has indicated that she is going to drop off $300 to the cemetery today on behalf of Azaria Jones, and that will get our balance down to $920. And yes,
dollars.
Clark just came around the corner, brother here at the station, who you all know, and is making a $100 donation himself. So thank you, bro. Thank you so much, bro. So we are at $820. Dion just hit me up and let me know that she has $100 on it. So we are at $720. And I should say $700 because I got a $20 donation that was left yesterday that I didn't include yet. And this is from a sister who I know is not wealthy, who is hard working and does everything she can to make ends meet. And this sister is consistent. I don't care. Her name is Michelle. I don't care what is going off or going on. Michelle will let me know there is $20 coming towards this situation. $20 for Michelle is like $100 for somebody else. She has a baby in college. The sister's doing everything she can to make stuff happen for them, and she figures out a way to help. As a part of those dollars that went over, brother Antoine Reesby over at Holy Redeemer brought a donation up. And I'm not going to always say how much people gave, just for people's privacy. I don't know what people, want me to share, not share. So I'm just kind of cautious about some of that. But Adeline, I see your Cash App just came through. Thank you so much, sis. Antoine has actually said, I'm going to make an additional donation. JC has made donations, and I'm gonna have the names of people. And I may only say the first name because some people have actually requested to remain anonymous. But when I say in a matter of days, y'all, we have been able to pull this off, and this has been done with the WNOV family. That's how this has gotten done. I have the receipts that were sent to me. Martha Love bought the funeral spray. County Supervisor Felicia Martin and her husband Terrell Martin. I called them and said, y'all, can y'all buy a flower for me? They said yes. They sent the receipt over yesterday saying that has come through. By the time this whole thing is done, between the funeral cost, in terms of casket and the funeral director and all of that, the burial cost, the flowers, the repast, y'all, this will be over $10,000. That this community, this radio station of listeners came together to make sure that this 15-year-old baby got put away. Somebody said, where can you drop off the funds? Please drop them off here to the radio station. I'm trying to make sure that I close this out. I want to try to get it done tomorrow so that going into next week as the family is getting ready for this service, the last thing I have to do is get with the family to go buy Azaria's clothes. That's the last thing. That's it. Deborah Simmons Jenkins, the first second that Azaria's grandmother was on the phone, in the studio, she had texted me. She was like, I'll pay for that baby's clothes. That was the first thing. That was the first thing that I heard. Okay, Senator Johnson is sending me some information. I will check on that. Thank you so much, Senator Johnson, for that information in relationship to what you think may be something for future reference for people that are in this situation. I'm going to get somebody on this show to talk about having insurance policies, even in small amounts. A $7,000 policy, a $9,000, $10,000 policy. We see these Colonial Penn ads and stuff, and people will laugh and dismiss those. My mother had multiple insurance policies when she died. It was hilarious to me that just because she had a Colonial Penn policy, and I'm like, Mom, you got insurance policies that's like, money. Why do you have Colonial Penn? When I tell you that Colonial Penn policy paid immediately, it was able to be forwarded directly to the funeral home, and my mother was cremated because it was COVID and we couldn't do a big expansive funeral, and that Colonial Penn policy paid for everything. We didn't have to use insurance money from any other policy. That Colonial Penn policy, I think it was Colonial Penn, whatever it was one of those ones we see on TV. It paid for everything. Everything connected to her death when it was all said and done. Mutual of Omaha is another one. My Sarah, I see you checked in. Elizabeth Harris Hodge. Thank you, Sarah. It just popped up on my Cash App that you sent a donation. I appreciate it. Let me go to the phone line. Hey, caller, what's happening?
Hey, Michelle, this is Angela.
Hey, Angela.
You know, I agree with you about the insurance policies because I do have Colonial Penn. You know, I got 3 policies. I ain't finna play with them. I don't want my kids to have to worry about anything when that time comes. But yes, it's a definite that people of any color need to have an insurance policy. Because I was just talking to one of my kids' father. I told him, when you come back to Milwaukee, get with me so I can get you some insurance. Because I ain't finna play with him. If he go before me, I don't want that stress on my children. And about their dad.
Thank you so much for saying that, Angela. I have said that before. I have had conversations with people, and you know they'll say, "Hey, my kids will figure it out. I'm not worried about it. I'm spending, my money now." And I'm like, "But if you love these people, why would you put them in this situation?
Exactly.
Why would you do that to them? And you have the means to pay a little sum every month on a policy to be able to take care of your expenses. Why would you put that on somebody?"
And like I told him, they will take it directly out your little check. You won't even miss it. Because I don't miss it. They take all my policy, all that money come out of my check. I don't even worry about it. As long as it get paid every month. I don't miss it.
Thank you
so much. And I told him, I said, you won't even miss that little money.
Yes, ma'am. I appreciate you. Thank you so much. All right, y'all. I got to get out of here. I have received another notification from Cash App. Where did it go? Somebody else just sent. Oh my God, y'all just don't know. Darren just sent a donation.
Who the hell's Darren?
Say what?
Who's Darren?
Is that you?
Yes, me.
Devo just sent $100. It didn't even dawn on me that was you. But now I see this ugly photo. That is you. Oh, what you got on the tie? What?
You don't see that human armadillo on that picture?
There it is.
Oh yeah, it sounds like a pimp.
No, I don't think it's
Dressed
like
up
a pimp.
armadillo. It was dressed up.
So
armadillo.
this is what I will do. I will figure out where we are, and I will be making that like I said, final payment tomorrow. And to the individual who reached out to me, who wanted to remain anonymous, I hope you are still listening. I saw your text. I will give you a call once we get to that point. And to that person, I just want to say to that person who sent me the request to remain anonymous, when I say that I love you, fam, and this is somebody that we don't talk like we used to talk, we don't hang like we used to hang, but never for 5 minutes would I tell anybody that this is not my family, even if we fighting. I love you, bro. All right, y'all. Hell no, I ain't talking about Meech. Yeah, Meech, I need a donation. Now, I'm glad you said that, Debo, because you're always up here running your mouth. I need a donation, Meech. And anybody that know Meech, call him and tell him Michelle said, I need a donation. But I'm going to have him help me with the repass stuff. Because, yeah, since he always got something to say. And so, look, I got to get out the way. Y'all, I will have a full report on Monday. But we are there. I've been in contact with the family. I do got to get a pastor, though, because the pastor pulled out at the last minute that was supposed to do. They got to something came up to do her services. So I'll get that taken care of with the family. But they are aware. They know what's going on. Y'all have been amazing. We have gotten this done in less than 2 weeks. Y'all have been absolute. And I just need to thank this radio station for giving me the latitude. Because I'm going to tell y'all right now, I ain't asked permission to do this. It just came up. And when I say that Gerald Jones let me do, Mary Ellen and her family let me do, we have helped the victims in Puerto Rico. We have helped people all over this country that have been in trouble right here in this seat at this radio station. And many of the same people that's donating today have shown up every time we've needed help. We've given Christmas toys from this radio station, and we don't have it posted on our website. We ain't bragging about it. We just, and it usually is spontaneous. Somebody just call and say, I need something. We can't do it for everybody, but I love y'all and I appreciate y'all. All right, family, that's the show for this week. Be easy. Bruh's in the studio. Love you, black men. Oh, and let me say, because Chris Levy just hit me up and said he wanted to make a donation. And Keith Paris, I said, Keith, I need food for the repast. I need chicken. Keith Paris handed me $200 and said, go get your chicken, man. Like, so, you know, I just want to say how much I appreciate people. I love y'all. Thank y'all. Talk to y'all next week.